Hello everyone. We have a match in the under 2000 section. So this is the Professor18 and Brewexa21 versus INDI7 and bronekater. So INDI7 and bronekater outrate their opponents by a wide margin. So this could potentially be a blowout match, as we often see in the first week. But there would be more competitive matches later on. I had been hoping to cover a Miss Fairy Queen Abby Kopsky match, but that does not seem to be happening right now. The players are not online. Watching this instead. In the under 2000 section, okay, so a knight mate, this queen check is also quite good. Should interpose the queen. Oh, but then the knight's going to mate. So this first game is going to go to INDI7. In the under 2000 section, the time control is 3 minutes for each player. And it is a best of 14 match. So the first team to get to 8 wins, a win by 2, is going to win the match. And they are down a significant amount of time. So bronekater, if he wanted to, could just stop moving to cause the match, to cause the game to end. But he feels perfectly safe, so he is going to continue moving for now. He also needs to make sure that a queen doesn't mate him in one move, because the Professor18 could trade the queens. Although again, knight drop is mate in 1. So even if queen takes queen, doesn't have to take back, and just drop the knight to mate. So it's the diagonal clocks that matter. The significant time advantage for the INDI7 team. They could just sit at any time. INDI7 and bronekater seem to be from the same country, which is Belarus. So maybe they know each other. Maybe they're on a voice call. I don't know. We haven't seen any communication in the chat. Interesting. He took back rather than dropping the knight mate. Maybe that was pre-moved. So our score right now is 1-0, favoring INDI7. Richard Lager says, when are Abby and Fairy playing? Theoretically, right now, but they are not online. So I'm not sure what the status of that match is. I asked about it in the house Discord, but Miss Fairy Queen has not responded there. I'm not sure exactly how that got on the schedule in the first place. I didn't see either in the scheduling forum on chess.com or in the scheduling channel in the Discord, and neither of them seemed to mention the Miss Fairy Queen match. I'm not sure how it got on the calendar in the first place. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's up with that. INDI7, winning a rook. Bronekater, fairly safe. If bishop check, just play bishop out. And now the queen guards the rook. This knight is under attack. These light squares are weak on d3 and c2. So you could just drop a pawn on d3, then another pawn on e2. That's probably going to be the plan. At some point, we'll probably see this bishop check, which he could just interpose a pawn, and he's completely fine. Might not even take back if you take that. Just pawn at e2 and continue the attack. And that is what we're seeing. Not sure what the Professor 18 is waiting for. So this is a tough situation because you're threatening rook at f1. Otherwise, might have to give the queen. It looks like INDI7. Also potentially winning a queen. Pawn at c7 would be good as well. Pawn, I believe, would be a little... Oh, you can just take that. Pawn would be a little better than a bishop because you're on the 7th rank, closer to promotion. This was the wrong side to put the rook on. Because this other side, you could take and promote to queen, it would be checkmate. But still quite a good position for bronekater. Pawn check, bishop check if he comes out, which he should. Okay, now we have the rook check again. Now this other side is correct, in that it takes one less move. So our score right now is 2-0, favoring bronekater and INDI7. Is this web PC versus you? I'm not sure what you mean by that. INDI0208. This is Bughouse, in case you're not familiar with the variant. Bughouse is a chess variant played by 4 players in teams of 2. Whenever you capture a piece, you hand it to your partner, who is the opposite color from you, sitting next to you. And you can make a normal chess move, or take any of the pieces in reserve your partner's passed you, place one on any empty square as a move. Checkmate or flag, and either board ends the game. I am not any of these 4 players. I am watching and commentating this game. So this is... Okay, by the way, I like d4 here. It's the bishop and prevents attacking f2. Oh, and this queen is probably going to be checkmate. Unless Brukeda, who's a 500 rated player, defends, which he probably won't. Even if he does defend, this will be a free bishop. You can just drop a pawn here or a bishop. Okay, queenette, that's checkmate. You can drop check, can drop mate. This is the Bughouse World Championship under 2000 section. We're in the group stage, which is 1 match. So basically, in the group stage, let me back up. In the under 2000 section, we have 180 teams have entered, teams of 2. They were placed into 32 groups of 5 or 6 teams, which play round robin. The top 2 teams from each group will progress to a single elimination ladder of 64 teams. So we are in the group stage in week 1, and it's 1 match per week, which will last about 5 weeks in the group stage. And then we go to the ladder stage, which will take place after a short break of a few weeks for another month or so. It's a very long format tournament. So unfortunately, the professor has not developed the king's bishop. So this sack could potentially be a good sack, because the king doesn't have f8 as a left square. But instead, INDI7 is going to develop pieces, pin this knight, which is quite reasonable. All right, this knight he can take. Probably bishop takes, but not... if bishop takes, not enough ammunition to get it done. Getting the queen involved, not so good since the queen is hung. The knight can't even take because the knight is pinned. So he's taking the free knight. Probably going to see a pawn check. And the Professor 8 is not doing great here. This is a little bit greedy. Oh, but it's going to work out. Yeah, this is mate. Rook takes, pawn takes, promote to rook, or promote to queen is checkmate. And he did promote to rook. That's a bit of a flex. Okay, our score right now is 4-0, favoring INDI7 and bronekater. And again, this is best of 14, so 8 wins will secure the victory, but we do have a win by 2 condition. So I'm assuming the Professor 18 and Brewexa21 probably aren't gonna catch up, but if they did, like 8-7 would not be a win. You have to win by at least 2 points. But we are on our way to an 8-0 victory, most likely, given the differential in ratings. Brewexa does have good development here. Has to watch out for tempo on this knight. When the knight moves away, this pawn is going to hang. So instead of castling, you probably should have played d3 before, just give an extra defender to that pawn. So Brewexa is going to lose a pawn. In Bughouse, time is a factor. It's the diagonal clocks that matter. And INDI7 is up about 20 seconds on Brewexa21, which means you can use that 20 seconds to wait for pieces or to prevent his opponent from getting pieces. Probably going to see bishop at e6 or bishop at h5. I think I like bishop at h5 better. It's a little bit more aggressive. So, bronekater, a knight could win this bishop. So he could potentially ask his partner to play bishop takes knight. Use that knight. Oh, and that's what happened. Knight is going to win a free bishop. You like free pieces. And INDI7 now is going to defend. Put another defender on this knight so as not to create any weaknesses. That's a knight that he can take. Light squares are a little bit weak, but he still should be okay here. Maybe he'll wait for a pawn to drop in. He could put a new knight in, defended by his existing knight to attack this bishop. He's just going to use the bishop rather than wait in. That's reasonable. If bishop takes bishop, king takes. Pawn can take that. We're probably going to see queen up. But he has pieces to interpose. Just knight in, probably, unless he wants to wait for a pawn. And this is where the time advantage comes in play. Oh, Indy needs to go. They're still up about 6 seconds. His partner could hold the knight by just moving it. Oh, his partner's gonna attack, actually. This is probably a maiden attack. Bishop at f3 looks quite good. If king up, then this knight move is gonna mate. Now you can move his knight for mate. So bronekater gets a win there. And anyway, the time came into play there. If the bottom team had been up time, then potentially the left board could have waited for maiden pieces, like a knight check, for example. So 2 knights and a pawn would have mated for him. So we see a sack immediately from bronekater, and he's gonna get his existing knight into play rather than waiting for another knight. It's a good strategy. Brewexa really needs to develop this king's bishop. He should have developed it before this knight. The problem is, with knight check here, the king does not have this dark square as a left square. Okay, bronekater is going to develop more pieces instead. Maybe play pawn takes pawn. Or he can just push to d5. That's even better. Like Indy is potentially trading some pieces, offering a queen trade. The queen trade is taken, which is great for his team. This is going to be a mate threat. Knight check, then queen in. This pawn probably also works too. Take and take. Take and take, knight check. This king doesn't have very many places to go. Queen here is mate. So another win for the INDI7 team. Our score right now is 6-0. And remember, when they get to 8 points, assuming they win by 2, that is a match win. So we still don't know what's happening with the Miss Fairy Queen match. Okay, bronekater, a pawn and a knight would win for him. Let's see if his partner can get him a knight. These knights aren't developed yet, so maybe it's not going to come. But if these knights develop, like if knight comes out, knight takes knight, that type of thing. Ooh, that's the knight. Pawn check, pawn takes knight. Knight at f4 is the win. I don't think they communicated very well on this. They are actually down time. The Professor 18 could sit if he wanted to. bronekater sees that and is developing another piece. Oh, but now this knight could potentially come. Knight now guards f5, but instead we could have new knight at d5. Knight takes knight, knight takes. This king runs, and it is not gonna last very long, especially with more ammunition in hand here. So simply pawn here to probably tempo the bishop and prevent a rook from mating. He's got to come up to d6. I would probably sack a pawn then with pawn at c5 and then push b4, which would potentially launch the bishop or the rook. And you should have enough to mate here. Pawn check is first for sure. Not really liking that bishop move. I suppose it allows him to trade more for his partner. Probably need to sack the bishop. So the issue is, I think, I guess he has to go left. If he moves, okay, now the knight there mates. So if he'd gone left, could be knight here, queen takes, and then he drops the queen for a knight, but at least he's still in the game. Our scores right now is 7-0. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the, or no, yeah, under 2000 section, because they play 3-minute games. It is best of 14, so 8 games is the win condition. So this is probably going to be the match point. Like just knight out here. Ooh, that creates a huge weakness. So now a pawn here can win a bunch of material. I would take this way. Potentially launch in a queen. And also obstructing this diagonal from possible attacks. So get in more on the light squares. These light squares are super weak. Okay, and this king has some weaknesses on the Brewexa21 board. If pawn takes, we're going to see knight in check. INDI7, oh, I guess it's not his move. If it were his move, he could wait for a diagonal for f7, or he could just place the knight there to win a piece. Okay, definitely take this bishop. bronekater screwed up. Bishop's moved backwards, so he could have simply captured this knight with his bishop, which was in take. I believe he forgot about that bishop. So here, bishop takes pawn is good. The knight checks mother mate doesn't work because the knight can take on g1. But we do see bishop takes pawn now. If king takes, then we can drop a knight for check, which is going to lead to mate. INDI7 has a very safe king. Oh, that's a take. Either way, a bit safer to take with the bishop, but this works because he doesn't really have very much material. And even if something dropped on c7, he could always move king over. But here I think you go queen takes. Okay, and there is checkmate on the Brewexa21 board. And that is a score of 8-0, which should be game over.